evening, everyone. Councilor Susie Hidalgo Faring is just leaving another meeting, and she'll be here in just a couple of minutes. So once again, I think we're just going to wait for Councilor Hidalgo Faring. She's busier than most of us, I think. Yep, parent-teacher conferences. Yeah. Good evening, everyone. I would now like to call the February 14th, 2023 Longmont City Council regular session to order. The council, as you know, has returned to in-person meetings, but if you feel you need a mask or would like to wear a mask, feel free to do so. For those that are watching it, you can play, who are watching it live streaming, click play on the video link within the interactive agenda on the city's agenda management portal at www.longmontcolorado.gov/online services /agendas and minutes /agenda management portal. You can also watch it on the YouTube channel at Longmont YouTube. Also via the Longmont Public Media website at longmontpublicmedia.org/watch or Comcast channels 8 and 880. Can we have a roll call, please?
Mayor Peck.
Present.
Councilmember Hidalgo Faring.
Here.
Councilmember Martin.
Here.
Councilmember McCoy.
Present.
Mayor Pro Tem Rodriguez.
Here.
Councilmember Waters.
Here.
Councilmember Yarbrough. Here. Mayor, you have a quorum.
Thank you. Let's stand for the pledge.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Anyone wishing to speak at first call public invited to be heard, you'll need to add his or your name to the list outside the council chambers. Only those on the list will be invited to speak at the first public invited to be heard. Speakers who do not place their names on the list will have an opportunity to speak during final call public invited to be heard. And anyone wishing to speak on second reading or public hearing items are asked to add their name to the speaker list for each particular item. Each speaker is limited to 3 minutes, and we would like you to state your name and address. We have the January 10th, 2023 minutes to approve. So that they have been moved by Councilor Waters, seconded by Councilor McCoy. Let's vote. Okay, all those in favor say aye. All those opposed. So that passes unanimously. We are now at the agenda revisions. Are there any councilors that would like to submit motions to direct the city manager to add agenda items to future agendas? Councilor Waters.
Thanks, Mayor Peck. I don't think this is a motion, but it is a question that ties back to a potential agenda item, so it's a fair time to ask.
Yes.
Sandy, we recently had a conversation with you and Joanne. We were with the city manager and city attorney. It's all about performance appraisals, process timeline, criteria, et cetera. We were going to see something back here relatively soon. I haven't seen anything, any indication. What should we anticipate?
Mayor Peck, members of council, Sandy Cedar, Assistant City Manager. You're right, Tim, we had said we'd have something back for you in February, so Joanne has drafted some suggestions for you. And I believe that Eugene's gotten his comments back, and I think Harold needs another little bit of time to review those. We'll email that information back out to you and either put it on an agenda or talk to the mayor about an executive session in February.
So it's those two fellows needing to get back to you. All right, boys. Here we go. All right, I appreciate that. I'll just keep it in my tickler file. You know, if we don't see something by the end of February, I'll be
Bring it
asking
back
this
up.
question.
All
Thank you.
right, sounds good, thanks.
Thank you, Mayor Beck.
Great. Seeing no one else in the queue, I would ask, Dawn, are there any agenda revisions?
There are not, Mayor.
Great. We are on to city manager's report. Harold?
Turn this on now. I'm going to do this before I was going to do it at the end, but I will forget it if I'm not careful. For next week's meeting, we have the first of the pre-sessions that you all talked about, and wanted to point out that I think in the motion that we were not going to have food for everyone, and just wanted to make sure that you all knew that ahead of time.
Are we all okay with that?
Pardon?
Everyone.
Yeah. Yeah, Don pointed it out, and Eugene and I were like, oh, we probably need to eat before we come. So anyway, that was the only question I had for y'all. No further
Great.
comments.
And to that point, I will make up an agenda and send it out as to what that looks like. We are at special reports and presentations. We have the LEDP fourth quarter report for 2022. And here comes Stephanie.
Thank you, Mayor Peck, and thank you, council members. My name is Stephanie Pittsnoggle, and I'm the interim president and CEO of the Longmont Economic Development Partnership, and it's my honor to present to you all tonight our fourth quarter impact report for 2022. So just to begin, I want to remind everybody that Longmont EDP's purpose is to provide economic development services for the city of Longmont. We do this by strengthening Longmont's competitive position through the implementation of our economic development strategy, Advanced Longmont 2.0. We market Longmont nationally and globally as a premier destination for industry and talent. We support the creation and retention of quality jobs by pursuing a strategy of targeting specific industry clusters. We advance opportunities for entrepreneurship and innovation by maintaining a strong and vibrant network of innovators and entrepreneurs who strengthen the economic health of our community. We advocate on behalf of all Longmont businesses by working in partnership with elected officials such as yourselves and community leaders to help shape policies that promote business creation, sustainability, and growth in Longmont. And I apologize for the typo on this slide. It should say 2022 and not 2023. So our strategy is Advanced Longmont 2.0. This is our citywide economic development strategy, and it consists of 5 focus areas with 5 distinct goals. Our talent goal is to successfully recruit and retain new needed talent while building an industry and future responsive talent pipeline. Our industry goal is to help primary, local, and startup companies in Longmont thrive with a collaborative business environment and easy access to financing, real estate, and mentorship. Our place goal is for Longmont to be a vibrant and amenity-rich community that offers a diverse mixture of options of play, food, culture, and unique experiences. Our connectivity goal is for Longmont to be the gold standard for multimodal transportation, offering multiple modes and points of access throughout the city, the region, and the nation. And our impact goal is for Longmont to be nationally recognized as a city that solves problems together. We unite organizations, resources, and people from all sectors to implement what matters. Our contract with the City of Longmont does focus, however, on three key areas, which would be talent, industry, and impact. And these represent the day-to-day operations that we undertake at Longmont EDP. Oops. To begin, I'll start by talking about our talent objectives. So talent objective 1.1 is around marketing and recruitment efforts. Our objective is to execute focused marketing and recruitment campaigns directed at attracting new talent to our community, particularly talent needed by our Advanced Longmont 2.0 target industry clusters. And we measure our success in achieving this objective through marketing KPIs such as impressions, clicks, click-through rates, page views, and website users. So through the fourth quarter of 2022, we had nearly 4 million ad campaign impressions across the United States. We had 8,626 clicks on those ad campaigns. And our top 5 user locations in the fourth quarter were Los Angeles, Denver, Phoenix, Longmont for the first time ever, and Catonsville, Maryland, if you're familiar. We had 8,500 new website users. And our most visited pages on our website, longmont.org, were our work style page, which provides users with access to our career platform through Indigo Pathways, and our homepage, and our site selection services page. Our top 3 search keywords that brought people to our page were operations jobs near me, HR jobs, and customer service jobs. So we really are attracting a lot of people to look at jobs available in Longmont through our page. And fun fact, in the fourth quarter, we had over 1,300 Facebook followers, which was a 35% increase over Q3 of this year. Talent Objective 1.2 is our workforce perception study. We hope to improve workforce perceptions of Longmont as an ideal location for quality of life and career advancement as measured by our annual workforce perception study, which goes out to our various employers, which is then passed on to the workforce. We know that we've achieved this if we complete the study and if we actually see a year-over-year improvement in specifically the perceptions of housing cost, cost of living, and housing availability. So we did, in fact, complete the survey in August with 140 total responses. The lion's share of those 140 responses were from the workers at Seagate. So there is a little bit of, the data is skewed a little bit towards more of those like engineering, design, highly skilled, higher paying roles. So we did see across the 3 metrics that we are tracking, housing cost, cost of living, and housing availability, around a 4% increase over 2021 in the number of people who rated Longmont as either excellent or good across these 3 areas. So while we did see that improvement, and I did mark that as something we were able to achieve this year, I did want to point out that while that is great that people thought those things, we did also have 58.3% of respondents who rated housing costs as not good at all, 36.1% rated cost of living as not good at all, and 50% exactly rated housing availability as not good at all. So we do still have some work to do here, and there's a lot of potential for opportunities for us to continue to work on improving in those areas. Talent Objective 2.1 is around talent intelligence data. It's our goal to generate talent intelligence products, reach out through outreach campaigns, and create feedback mechanisms that help our employers communicate skill needs and adopt hiring practices that address talent constraints efficiently and equitably. And we do this by including talent needs assessment questions on our annual Elevate survey, which is our business retention and expansion survey, by connecting businesses to existing resources and developing target industry-specific talent insights reports. So through Q4 of 2020, we had over 350 job seekers on our Longmont Career Pathway program, which helps connect our primary employers with a talented Longmont-based workforce. We included 27 talent needs assessment questions on the 2022 Elevate BRE survey, Business Retention and Expansion. And we did find that our top 3 employment challenges were finding talent with the right skills, attracting talent to the company, and retaining talent. And that has been consistent year over year. Talent Objective 2.2 is to support talent systems. And we do this by helping businesses engage with our local and regional educational training systems. We include talent system information in all of our prospect proposals, and we connect our employers who vocalize to us that they need help with their talent. We connect them directly with industry and other talent systems partners. Throughout 2022, we made 17 direct referrals to our partners at Workforce Boulder County, Front Range Community College, and the St. Vrain Valley School District, and we included talent system information on 13 primary industry prospect proposals. So as you can see here, through 2022, we were meeting our expectations there across these 4 areas. Now we'll be moving on to industry. Industry Objective 1.1 is around primary industry growth. Our objective here is to strategically employ the use of local and state economic development incentives to support the attraction, relocation, or expansion of 10 primary industry businesses that will create 500 jobs and invest $500 million in new capital investment. One of our goals is to update the city incentive policy. We measured the dollar amount of the incentives at the state and local level, and our North Metro Enterprise Zone metrics, which include job creation, capital development, and job training, among other things, we track that as well. So the city incentive policy, we continue to work on that. We did begin discussions. We've had obviously some turnover at the organization in the second half of the year. We did approve over $350,000 worth of strategic fund incentives for Project Green, and our North Metro Enterprise Zone metrics were on track for this year as well. Objective 1.2 is around lead generation. When we say lead, we mean new primary industry prospect leads. And we are hoping to generate at least 50 new primary industry leads and recruit and expand through recruitment and expansion projects in Longmont via diverse sources. And we keep track of this by noting the number of RFP responses that we submit through our national marketing campaign KPIs, and by maintaining our commercial real estate database, which we did do. Through Q4, we had 26 total primary industry prospect leads. 14 of those prospects were currently active as of the end of December, with nearly 5,000 new potential net new jobs. The average annual wage for these jobs that in these active prospects was over $100,000. And the potential CapEx for these businesses to come to Longmont would have been nearly $1 billion. We had 9 of these prospects in our smart manufacturing industry cluster, and 80% of all of our prospects were within our Advanced Longmont 2.0 target industry clusters. Objective 1.3 is around business retention. It's always our goal to retain 100% of Longmont's existing primary employers and jobs. We're not always able to retain 100%, but we do everything that we can to do so. We keep track of this by looking at our ratings as of Longmont as a place to do business on our Elevate Longmont surveys and within our industry roundtables that we conduct with industry leaders, the response rate on our Elevate survey, and industry engagement at the local, regional, and national levels. So in 2022, our Elevate Longmont survey was sent to 217 Longmont-based primary employers. This happens in the first 2 quarters of the year. We received 61 surveys in return, which was a response rate of 28%, which was an increase of about 7% over last year. We conducted 3 executive roundtables with those respondents. They're with a total of 9 participants, and most of our respondents on our survey were within our smart manufacturing cluster, which is not our largest cluster. That would be Business Catalyst, but is a very important cluster within Longmont. We also saw quite a number from our Business Catalyst industry cluster as well. Objective 2.1 is grants for entrepreneurship. It's our goal to deploy $60,000 of city funding grants to startups participating in the Innovate Longmont Accelerator program. And we keep track of this through the number of grant dollars deployed, new business formation, and new job creation. So Innovate Longmont was dissolved at the end of April this year, and we ended up refocusing our efforts on the RAMP, which is specific to manufacturing incubator. We had an advisory board meeting in August, and we were in the process of developing a readiness assessment for RAMP applicants. Now, those efforts did go on hold in December as we rethink a little bit of our strategy around entrepreneurship, but we continue to be working closely with meaningful startups in the community, and we were able to deploy some of our grant funding to very worthwhile businesses, including Amplified Space, which is a SBIR winning aerospace company. And we do have 2 companies in the pipeline, one of which is Tinkermill, who's been able to bring a laser to their operation as a result of our strategic grants. And as you can see here, we are on track with all of these. The grant dollars are continuing to be deployed despite the fact that the year is at a close, but we did have 2 businesses still in the pipeline at that point. So we're working on getting that closed out. On to impact. Impact Objective 1.1 is for our Advanced Longmont Collective Impact Backbone support, wherein Longmont EDP serves as our backbone support for all of our collective impact initiatives. And we did provide that support in Q4 of 2022. We had 23 initiative support meetings. We have a new initiative proposal portal with community readiness guide and initiative proposal process, which was completed by the steering committee. We are just in the process of rolling that out. The initiative proposal form will be published sometime in Q1 of 2023 and made available to the public. We also had the Early Childhood Alliance identify a diversity, equity, and inclusion training consultant, which is required for all of our Advanced Longmont 2.0 initiative groups. So these are our current AL 2.0 initiatives. We have the Early Childhood Alliance, formerly the LECCC, our Intracity Multimodal Transportation Group, our Prosper Longmont Housing Coalition, and our River District Corridor Initiative Group. Objective 1.2 is our collective data dashboard. We maintain a collective data dashboard that tracks high-level community metrics and AL 2.0 initiative-specific metrics. We did, in fact, publish this in the second quarter of 2022. You can view our dashboard on our Advanced Longmont site, advanced.longmont.org. We're hoping in 2023 to continue to refine this dashboard, but it was made available to the public earlier in 2022. Objective 2.1 is around our Aspire Leadership Council. We hope to grow our Aspire Leadership Council to 40 members, which represent a cross-section of private sector expertise to drive collective problem solving by providing leadership and expertise to inform policy, strategy, and decision-making in Longmont. And we keep track of the number of projects that the Aspire Fund ends up funding and their engagement with city leadership. So as of the end of December, we had 31 members on our Aspire Leadership Council, and we did fund one new project, which was for the ECA to have an industry assessment consultant. And that's how we're moving towards our impact objectives. Again, this slide should say 2022. I apologize for the typo. But in our contract, we also have a role for city council to play and for the city to play, which is to provide funding and accounting for our grant funds, provide auditing services for city funds, to be responsive to requests from Longmont EDP to attend and participate in discussions with primary employers and other Longmont EDP stakeholders, to review and consider modify city incentive policies as needed and requested by Longmont EDP, to review and consider modifying procedures, policies, and ordinances related to the city's development services as needed and requested by Longmont EDP, to solicit and consider incorporating input from Longmont EDP regarding the Envision Longmont multimodal and comprehensive plan and ongoing land use decision, and attend and participate in meetings of AL 2.0 Steering Committee, senior city staff members communicate weekly with Longmont EDP. And while I have not been in this role for very long, and I certainly wasn't in 2022, I feel that from where I sit, you've all done very well at meeting these objectives. So thank you very much for being excellent partners with us through 2022. Our quarterly economic indicators show the following. So our gross regional product, which is sort of like gross domestic product, but for just Longmont specifically, was just over $7.5 billion in 2021. Our total regional employment in 2021 was 56,793. We had about a 4.5% employment growth rate from 2016 to 2021, according to Lightcast. Our total labor force was over 58,000 in October of 2022, which represented the second highest total labor force Longmont has ever had in history, just dropping a hair below what we saw in September of 2022. That was about a 2.7% increase in the size of our total labor force, 2021 to 2022. We also had a 2.9% unemployment rate in October of 2022, according to the Bureau of Labor Statistics. This was actually lower than our unemployment rate was in January of 2020. So we've certainly seen an improvement over the difficult period of time during COVID. Our quarterly economic indicators for residential real estate, I'm just going to focus on the Longmont numbers here. The other numbers are provided as a way for us to understand how we are sort of keeping up within the larger Boulder County conversation. We had the median sales price in Longmont in November of 2022 was $570,000. You can see here that makes us the most affordable market in all of Boulder County. We had 75 homes sold, which also was the largest number in all of Boulder County, which has been a consistent theme in the data that I've been tracking. We had 209 homes on the market. That was the total inventory for November. Again, the largest inventory in all of Boulder County. And our median family income, according to the HUD metrics for 2022 for Boulder County, was $125,400. And that number will be updated in a few months, and I will be sharing that with you then. Our quarterly economic indicators for commercial real estate showed positive absorption for our office product with a vacancy rate of 8.63%. This is pretty consistent with what we were seeing a year ago. We had 123,000 and change vacant square feet across Longmont office product. Our availability rate was 13.06%, which was about 158,000 square feet of available office stock. And our average asking rate was $15.89 per square foot, which was also one of the most affordable office product rates in all of Boulder County. The industrial absorption was a little bit higher, which has been consistent through the COVID recovery period. So we had 23,986 square feet of absorption in the industrial real estate market, a vacancy rate of 9.24%, which is actually a little bit high for Boulder County. However, a lot of this is made up by the former Mac Store facility, which, as you all know, is under development right now. And once that product comes off the market, we're going to have a very low industrial vacancy rate. The vacant square footage was 689,000 and a little bit square feet, and our availability rate was 9.6%, with a number of available square feet just under 800,000. Our average asking rate was $10.57. Now, we did rise a little bit higher than the asking rates for Gun Barrel, but we have a lot more product in the industrial category. So that's everything that I have to present to you all tonight. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Stephanie. It looks like Councilor Waters has a question or a comment.
I have a comment. Well done.
Thank you.
Very helpful. And I have a couple of questions. First of all, these aren't specifically in relationship to these slides, but are in relationship to LEDP and it's how it does its work. Review for us how many members of your board, how many voting members of your board are also members of the city council?
Technically, city council members are non-voting members.
Zero
So yes, zero.
members on your board who are voting members on your board. Do you have anybody from this council who serves on your board in any capacity?
Yes,
As
a liaison,
liaisons, non-voting,
correct.
sharing information, learning from the work of LEDP.
Yes.
Second question, who benefits when LADP is successful in bringing in, with its economic developments, whatever the cluster or category is?
The people of Longmont.
So it's not your board members or city staff?
Not at all.
Any recent examples of successes, examples that you could share with us?
Yeah, I believe that while I think Scythe Robotics is a good example of a business we've been able to help. When I last spoke to Leo Jiang, their chief financial officer, he told me they had just hired their 50th employee. This was a company that was thinking about moving to another location such as Arizona or Florida or what have you. And we were able to provide them with what they needed in order to stay and grow their business here. And these are good, high-paying jobs that provide local people who live locally opportunities to work locally.
Did you have any hand at all in bringing Costco to Longmont?
I personally did not, but
LEDP.
LEDP did, absolutely.
So whether people like like Costco or not coming to town, and I think the vast majority of Longmonters are thrilled about this, LEDP had a significant role in bringing Costco to Longmont.
A very significant role, yes.
And any idea when it's scheduled to open?
I do know. I just met with them today, actually.
You do?
Yes.
Can you share that?
I think so. May 4th.
May 4th. Will there be a ribbon cutting?
I haven't had the details yet.
So
but
May 4th, people get a chance to shop in Costco, and all that sales tax revenue starts to accrue to the benefit of Longmonters and Longmont taxpayers as well as shoppers. And LEDP had a significant role in bringing Costco to Longmont, along with some of the other examples.
That's correct.
I think our local newspapers would be well to get that information accurately reported to the public, because it isn't all. I'm talking to you. I'm looking at you. I'm talking to them up there, because it isn't always accurately reported what the relationship is between people up here and people on your board, or who benefits from the hard work that you and the staff put in. It's all of Longmont. Thank you.
Thank you, Councilman Waters.
I will jump in on the ribbon cutting. I know Dale's having conversations with him to get that set up right now.
Be very exciting.
Circle May 5th on your calendars, everyone.
Okay.
Well, I figure you don't want to go opening day. Like, parking lot's going to be crazy.
Oh, to shop.
Exactly.
Okay, Counselor Martin.
Thank you, Mayor Peck, and I have to say it, may the 4th be with us.
Thank you, Marcia.
And, I don't know how to follow that, but I actually noted a question on slide 13, which is that you had 26 total primary industry leads through Q4. 14 of them were still active
Correct.
as of the 31st. And so of the difference, 12, are they no longer active? Did any of them close, or did they all fall out of the pipeline?
Some of them, so there'll be a mix of what you just said. There'll be some of them that went elsewhere, because sometimes we're in very, very competitive national, sort of competing with many other states for various prospects. Some of them, well, I think we all know that there's some potential looming storm clouds on the horizon with the economy, and I think some folks did rethink their plans to expand and to relocate and whatnot. So that's probably part of the reason, but we don't always hear about exactly why people choose to not go forward with various things when we get them from, specifically sources like OEdit or Metro Denver EDC.
Okay. And then my real question was, of the 14, how many are you still actively talking to? Because the economic indicators are looking a bit better, so.
Yeah, so some of those, a good number of those are homegrown leads. So we're still working, chipping away. Things are taking a little bit more time, again, because of the little stormy clouds on the horizon and with the leadership change here at LEDP. And then some of them are through Metro Denver EDC, then we're working with them. And I'll have more to tell you about, because the prospect pipeline is picked up in 2023 already.
Oh, wonderful. All right, thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, Stephanie.
Thank you.
So we are now at the first call, public invited to be heard. The very first person on the list is Ben Everson. If you can remember to give us your name and address, and 3 minutes.
I was here to address agenda item 12A. Is now the right time to speak, or should I speak then?
You can,
Because we don't do public invited on general business.
yeah, you can speak when we bring that up.
Okay.
Oh, I'm sorry. This is not,
Okay.
the only time would be on second reading, and we
Okay.
don't have any items on second reading.
That's fine.
But you
Before I
can-
started, I wanted to check.
You can speak on it now.
Okay. Great. So my name is Ben Everson. I live at 85 Baylor Drive. Good evening, Mayor Peck and members of council. I'm here tonight in my capacity as a board member of the Longmont Youth Symphony. LYS serves the young musicians of the St. Vrain Valley and surrounding areas. We provide a resource for our musicians to further develop and excel in their musical abilities through professional leadership and direction. By doing so, we enable our youth to entertain, educate, and expand appreciation of music within the community. And as a parent of 2 LYS musicians myself, I can tell you my kids have had a tremendously enriching experience with this organization. One of them is a current high school senior here in Longmont, and she's planning on studying music in college in no small part due to her participation in this group. We on the LYS board have been following the deliberations of the council on how to allocate the Broncos windfall money. I'm here tonight to respectfully request that the council establish a grant application and approval process for dispersing some significant portion of this money. While it may be tempting to use this $980,000 for 1 or 2 big ticket items, I would like to remind the members of this body that many worthy organizations are already serving the needs of Longmont's young people in the arts, sports, and other areas. Even a few $1,000s can make a big difference to any of these organizations in terms of buying or replacing equipment, renting practice and performance space, paying trusted adults for professional coaching and instruction, and outreach and scholarships to increase diversity among the families participating in these programs. With nearly $1 million to spend, this council has the capacity to help a lot of kids around Longmont. I urge you to utilize the infrastructure of organizations like ours already working with the youth of our community as the most efficient and responsible way to spend these funds. And I had intended, if I was going to speak at the agenda item, to ask if there was an application process or if that had been discussed, but I'm guessing that's going to come up during the discussion later. Thank you.
Thank you, Ben. Lance Whitaker?
Evening, Mayor and City Council. My name is Lance Whitaker. 3 days before my birthday, so you can all mail checks or cash to 1750 Collier Street, Longmont, Colorado. Today is National Valentine's Day, of course. It is also National Covered Cream-Colored Chocolate Chocolates. It's also National Ferris Wheel Day and National Organ Donors Day. So everybody who's not an organ donor, please sign up. I would like to address the agenda on today of 12A of the $2 million, I believe, being given to the museum. $500,000 from the Broncos Fund and another 1.5 million. I would love to see an auditorium dedicated to the native tribes of Longmont. In Pacific, I'd love to see Chief Snywat's name on that auditorium. So any consideration for that, and music would be great in Longmont. As you can see, a lot of people are really for bringing in more auditorium type venues into Longmont. Thank you.
Thank you, Lance. Steve Altshuler?
Good evening. Steve Altshuler, 1555 Taylor Mountain Drive. I didn't want to use much time on this, but I am curious with Costco if we could find out if the city had to take a lot of tax income deductions to encourage Costco to come to Longmont, because I know that's often how they work. Last week I spoke about socialism, removing anyone's incentive to work or to be productive. This has been proven to be true in many countries for hundreds of years. And capitalism is just the opposite. No other form of government has ever so equally provided motivation for success. This week I had intended to speak about the huge advantages of free market and supply and demand, but a more pressing topic needs to be covered. The bill being voted on to steal our children from us and literally remove all parental rights. In America, a person must be at least 16 years old to drive, 18 years old to vote or buy a gun, and 21 years old to drink or do drugs legally. The new bill, HB 23-1071, will allow kids as young as 12 years old to have themselves be mutilated for life. Parents can opt out of it, but the kids can secretly opt back in. It takes away all kinds of parental control or knowledge. It sounds like a benign bill until you read between the lines and apply current minor law. Because of the laws regarding minor consent on the books and the trending push for mental health assessment in the schools, HB 23-1071 is a bill that's a threat to the welfare of our children. The bill allows a licensed psychologist to prescribe and administer psychotropic medications if the licensed psychologist holds a conditional prescription certificate, or a prescription certificate issued by the State Board of Psychologists Examiners. If passed, this bill will give a school psychologist the ability to prescribe psychotropic medication to children. Children who are 12 years and older do not need parental consent to receive substance abuse treatment or mental health services under current Colorado law. The main purpose of this council, in my opinion, is to keep the citizens of Longmont safe. This means passing laws to punish criminals, help promote the success of local businesses which provide better jobs and better income for Longmont residents, and to protect our children from horrendous laws like HB 23-1071. The people that came up with this disgusting government overreach and those that have voted for it should allow themselves to be castrated too. Please be brave and strong enough to pass an ordinance to protect and exempt the children in Longmont from this bill.
Thank you, Steve. It looks like there's no one else that wants to speak at first call. Public invited to be heard? I'm sorry. So we are on now to our consent agenda and introduction and reading of titles from first reading ordinances. Would you read those into the agenda, into the record, please?
I will, Mayor. The ordinances on consent tonight will have second reading and public hearing on February 28th. Item 9A is ordinance 2023-07, a bill for an ordinance making additional appropriations for expenses and liabilities of the City of Longmont for the fiscal year beginning January 1st, 2023. 9B is ordinance 2023-08, a bill for an ordinance conditionally approving the vacation of a portion of berm easement within the Clover Basin Farm, filing number 3, final plat, generally located northeast of Kennedy Drive. 9C is ordinance 2023-09, a bill for an administrative ordinance approving the contract to buy and sell real estate, conveying Lot 1, St. Vrain Industrial Park, second filing, replat C, also known as 1140 Boston Avenue, to Wholesalers Property Company, LLC. And item 9D is resolution 2023-08, a resolution of the Longmont City Council authorizing an amendment to the lease agreement between the City of Longmont as lessee and Big Belly Solar, LLC as lessor for additional smart trash and recycling cans for city parks and municipal facilities.
Thank you, Dawn. That was a short one tonight. So, council members want to pull any items? Looks like Councilor McCoy.
Yes, thank you, Mayor Peck. I'd like to pull item B,
Okay.
just for a question.
Would you like to move the consent agenda then?
I move the consent agenda without item B.
Okay. Second. Right. The consent agenda has been moved by Councilor McCoy, seconded by Councilor Hidalgo Faring. Let's vote. Okay, let's have a voice vote. All those in favor say aye. Aye. All those opposed. So that passes unanimously. We are now on to, there are no ordinances on second reading and public hearings on any matter tonight. So we're going to move right on to the items removed from the consent agenda. So Councilor McCoy.
Mine is just a question for staff to give a little bit of an overview in regards to this. I don't think I think it's just kind of just a clarification about what's happening with this piece here.
Sure, Mayor and Councilmember McCoy, this is an old easement that created a ditch and a berm to protect the property from a floodplain. And I believe there's been improvements done in Likens Gulch, so it's redundant at this point.
Good enough. I just wanted to, it was not quite clear. I was trying to look at the map and see what was going on with it and read the material. So do I need to move that on?
Yes, sir.
Okay, so I move consent agenda on B on for second reading.
First, on consent.
On first reading.
Okay, so Councilor McCoy has moved item, was that, item C, 2023-09. Can I have a second? 08. So Councilor McCoy has moved from the consent agenda R 2023-08. It has been seconded by Councilor Martin. Let's vote. Let's just vote, voice vote. It doesn't look like everybody's getting. All those in favor?
One point of order.
Yes.
It's not a resolution.
Oh, I'm sorry, ordinance.
You mentioned it as R. It's an ordinance.
I thought it was C. B, okay, I'm sorry. I'm going to restate, yes, so we're going to vote on ordinance 2023-08. Moved by Councilor McCoy, seconded by Councilor Martin. All those in favor, say aye. Aye. All those opposed? So that passes unanimously. I'm sorry, Don, I thought you said D. All right, and thank you, Glenn, for your explanation. Yeah, Councilor Martin.
Thank you, Mayor Peck. Just because of that confusion, or actually, I was confused before the question, but I noticed that item D is also 08, and that's because it's numbered in the sequence of resolutions, not ordinances. So it's not an error, but it looks funny.
Thank you. So we are now at general business, and the first thing, these are consideration and discussions of proposals for spending one-time funds, including those from the sale of the Denver Broncos. So the first one for consideration is allocation of $50,000 from Denver Broncos money to Longmont Latinx Voices. So I will open this up for a motion to consider the allocation. Is there anybody that either like to make a motion on this? Is there anyone? Okay, Councilor Hidalgo Faring.
You know, I have a question, and I was trying to find the right time to bring it up. When I saw that this was on the agenda, I thought, okay, this might be a good time to bring this up. I know that, you know, I was one of the individuals who brought forward an idea, or with a fellow council person. You know, in discussion with staff and reflection and just, you know, having a couple of conversations, you know, looking to, before we vote on anything, but looking to kind of re-evaluate or restructure how we decided to move forward with the Broncos money. You know, can we, you know, if the council is interested, carving out a set amount that would go through the public process of having people be able to apply for a grant, or, you know, following a more just itemized process. And then, you know, the rest of the money, then, you know, we would pass over to city staff to use at their best discretion. I think, you know, we were trying to come back with what we interpreted staff as saying what the most need was, and kind of formulating our own ideas and plans, and it just seems to be getting worse as we're moving on. So, you know, just coming up with some kind of more strategic evaluation process of determining how much goes to each individual or to each nonprofit.
So I think before we have this discussion, we should probably actually have a motion and then open it up for discussion. The one thing that, before we vote on either of these, I want to just bring to your attention that I was involved with Alex Dorian from the management of, what is it called, the Broncos, Federation of Broncos. And there was quite a few people on that call. Some of the things that were told to us in the proposal from the Broncos Federation is, we're questioning, let's put it that way. It was very vague. So tomorrow afternoon at 3 o'clock, Harold, Eugene, Jim Golden and I are going to be on a call with him to get some clarification. Basically what he said at the council meeting I'm sorry, it wasn't the council meeting, it was the commissioners, Boulder County meeting where we met with him. So I would like you to think about, do we want to actually table this and wait until we get some answers from him? Because then we would be coming back and have to undo or reconsider. So I'm just going to throw that out there before we do anything. Should we have a discussion about that? Counselor Martin.
Thank you, Mayor Peck. Does Councilmember Hidalgo Faring still have the floor? Because did you intend to make a motion, or? Because I'd like it back, but if she's not finished, I'd like her to finish.
So, my intent, well, I was gonna ask if this was the time to be able to make a motion
It is,
to
but
this.
and
Okay.
before she was going to make the motion, I wanted to throw that out there so that let's think before a motion is made. If you want more information from the organization, or should we go ahead with this? And that was just my question, is why I interrupted as I was thinking about this. So, Counselor, are you still on?
Well, I have several things to say. I was wondering why these items are on the agenda, given that the mayor mentioned at the end of the last council meeting that there would be such a meeting, and we hadn't heard a report from it.
Counselor Martin, that's because we gave direction to staff to bring it back at the next regular meeting.
Okay. I would also like to say, because I figured it was something like that, but I'd also like to say that just bringing it back again doesn't really help. That what we need is a process, because there are two things going on. One is we have council members who have good ideas for things that should be done with windfall money, and we also have a public who I think justifiably is looking to see some of this money go to local nonprofits. And I think that they have a reason to believe that should happen. And I would not vote for, as much as I think it's a good idea, I would not vote for number one here below, because there is no process. And I don't think it would be responsible to, throw $50,000 over the wall with no requirements for reporting or oversight or anything like that, especially since it's kind of a new nonprofit, I think. So I would like to move that we table this until after the mayor has had her call and reported on it to council, but that at the time that we bring this back, we also bring back an evaluation process and an oversight process for a portion of the money to be assigned to local nonprofits. I had discussed this with Councilor Hidalgo Faring, and so I'd like to leave it to her to make the motion as to how big the carve-out should be, because it was her idea. But I don't want to see this back on the agenda without us having set expectations appropriately. Do I have a second?
Counselor Martin, can you rephrase? That was a very long motion, and I don't know what part we're voting on.
Yeah, I'll do that. I would move that we table any discussion of these proposals until the mayor has given the council a report on the results of her upcoming call, and that can happen anyway. But at the time that it does come back, I would like to see there be a robust process for evaluating the motions, or the applications, excuse me.
So do I have a second?
Second, it seems like it should be two separate motions.
Yeah, it
All right.
does,
The
yeah.
tabling and then.
All right, then I move that we'll table it until after the mayor's given her report.
A clarification, Counselor Martin, are you tabling A1 or are you tabling both of these?
I'm asking that we table any discussion of awarding to exterior nonprofits, so I guess that would be A1.
Any awarding of the Broncos money.
If that's what you'll second, then that's what I'll move.
Okay, so who seconded that?
I'll second.
All right.
Yes.
Okay,
Before we vote.
so it's been moved by Counselor Martin, seconded by by Mayor Pro Tem Rodriguez, that we table any discussion of the use of Bronco money until staff and myself have been on the call with Alex Dorian and report back. So, open for discussion. I see Counselor McCoy.
Thank you, Mayor Peck. What I see up here is two questions. What I see up here is the consideration of the $50,000 to Longmont Latinx Voices. Aren't we tabling all of A? Is the question. The second part is, isn't there the reason why we were looking at $50,000 was because they were under kind of a time crunch to be able to get these products purchased and things like that. So that was the only issue I had. I hear exactly what Councilmember Martin is saying and agree with most of it. And so my concern is that in this particular case here, will we hear back soon enough to actually be able to keep that semi-promise to them that, if we do send that money, that they could actually have it in time?
So I don't see why we can't bring it back at the next regular session, which would be, first we have an LHA one and a study session, and is that next regular canceled because of NLC? Okay,
No, I think what'll depend is the second motion that's likely to come
okay,
in terms of developing not sure what that is right now.
I don't either.
But that, if we said it'll come back in 2 weeks, I have to understand what this is to figure out if we have time.
So it's going to be
Workload.
no set date at this point?
Okay.
Okay, all right. So is there any other discussion? Counselor Hidalgo Faring?
Yes, so, and my concern is for the group that did everything we asked of them. I'm really disappointed that the Broncos did not stipulate exactly what they wanted to see these dollars used for without, before just sending a very general letter. So, yeah, I'd be very curious to know what comes out of that meeting and what are the impacts. So, yeah, I kind of want to hold off. Let me know when I'm able to make my motion.
Mayor, if I can jump in.
Yeah, please do.
I think we also refer to this as the Broncos money, but it's technically the stadium district.
Yes, that's
And the
right.
stadium district is a different entity from the Broncos in this case. I just wanted to make sure, I know that's an interchangeable term, but it's a stadium district.
Okay.
Didn't want the Broncos to hear this and go, what are we in this for? But, and I know we put it this way too, but it's stadium district, so.
Metropolitan Stadium District?
Yeah, so we'll correct it in our.
Okay, and I do have another question. What is the expectation? I know that I heard kind of some conversation around what they're expecting municipalities to turn back in as far as how the money was utilized. Are we going to have to complete a report on that?
Jim can probably help me answer it, but I think it was later in the year, Jim.
That was part of our original discussion as well, that they wanted a feedback.
Mayor, members of council, Jim Golden, Chief Financial Officer. So I'll just read to you what it says in the letter, that it's our intent that approximately 1 year from the allocation of funds, the district will request an accounting of how the funds have benefited youth activity programs in your community. And that's the extent of
Okay.
their direction on that.
So, I see no other counselors in the queue. Let's vote on whether,
I've been in the queue since the beginning.
I don't see anything on. Oh, I turned him on. I'm sorry.
Do I have the floor?
Yeah,
Thank you, Mayor Peck.
I thought you were on a green light.
No, no, no. Thanks for the clarification that it's the Metro Stadium District. Do you know what Mr. Boyan's role is with the Metro Stadium District?
He's a liaison to their board.
Yeah, he's the board, as I understand it, the Boulder County representative to the board. He's not an employee. He has no authority outside of, when is this call?
Noon at 3.
Are any of us invited to?
No,
So it's not a public meeting?
no, it is not.
Okay, I have to say, I have concerns about that. With this whole thing's occurred in public, and now it's gonna be a private meeting with a liaison to the Metro District Board. I have to say, I object to that. Fundamentally, this has been a public discussion from the beginning, and now somebody's gonna go, the mayor or whoever else from the staff, gonna go have a private telephone conversation. I'll just register my objection formally now, and whatever I have to do behind this, because I think that's absolutely unacceptable. Remind me, Harold or Jim or Sandy, what did we budget in 2023? What did we budget in 2022? And then again in 23 through the Community Services Department for grants to nonprofits in Longmont? We approved them back in December.
The Health and Human
Yep.
Service number. Jim, can you help me with that? Because we, our Teresa. Yeah.
Well, it's my recollection, it was like 1.2 or 4 million. Some of that set aside for housing, the rest of it for nonprofit award, grants to nonprofits. So for anybody to sit up here and suggest somehow we don't take general fund money, budget it and award it to nonprofits on a very clear criteria, on a very fair, equitable basis is simply not accurate, because we do that. And we have grown that pot of money every year. At least since I've been on council, we finally hit the 3% mark this year, that we budget and allocate 3% of general fund through our Community Services Department grants to nonprofits with a very clear criteria. And every group that's come here in this conversation has had an opportunity to apply for those funds. True? Whether they fit the criteria or not,
Yeah,
they've all had that.
The criteria is set based on need.
We approved a $414 million budget on October 30th. What was the date? We had to do it by November 1st.
Right.
We've had more input on this pot of money than how we authorized spending $414 million, right? With very little discretion on the part of the council to actually spend a dollar of it, right? For reasons we all understand. This is the only opportunity in this whole budgeting cycle for 2023 where this council would have the option to exercise its legal authority to allocate what were tax dollars returned to the city of Longmont as the city's share of the 2% through the Metro District available to municipalities who were taxed to help build the district. So I understand it has become very confused. And I don't know if I added to the confusion. I hope not. I did raise the profile, certainly, of the use of those funds with the motion that I brought. I'll say again, I now regret agreeing. Mayor, you asked me if I would delay a motion I had on the floor back in December, in trying to play nice, I said, sure, I wish I hadn't, because this has become extraordinarily confused. And I'd like a vote straight up or down on the motion, the resolution that I drafted then, that I could have had a vote on then and deferred in, deference to whatever was going to unfold. Now that I see what has unfolded, that was a big mistake, because we've been confused about what we sent mixed messages to the community, and frankly, I think the mixed messages that have come to the council as well. So I'm looking at you, Harold, but I'm really talking to my council members. So however this vote's going to go, I just want to say I think that has been very inconsistent, even in how we've had this conversation up here. And however this motion is and this vote goes, I'm still going to look for a vote straight up or down on the resolution I drafted several months ago.
I have a number for you. 1.45 million to Health and Human Service funding for housing stability, self-sufficiency, and resilience, food nutrition, health and well-being, education, skill building, and safety and justice.
So none of those criteria fit what LVV is asking for. It's health and human services, safety, justice.
I would have to look in depth in the safety and justice piece, because there may be the potential there, but I need to look into the depth of it, so.
Okay, Councillor McCoy. Whoops, Councillor Martin.
Thank you, Mayor Peck. I don't know where to respond. I don't know how to respond.
Your comments need to be on tabling the motion. Let's stick to
Tabling
that.
the motion.
I mean,
All right.
tabling. Yeah, motion to table.
On my
yes.
motion to table.
So-
Okay. I would like to say that everyone voting on the motion to table, despite the fact that out of courtesy to the mayor, I think we should, that it's at least questionable whether the stadium district has put in any safeguards to the effect that they actually have any right to limit how we dispose of this money.
And those will be some of the things that we would ask.
All right, thank you.
Okay, Councillor McCoy, and this is going to be our last comment. We need to vote.
Thank you, Mayor Peck. Looking at our screen here for voting, it says consideration of allocation of $50,000. It should be the consideration of the.
Councilmember McCoy, I'll fix that.
Okay, and then, okay, so just making sure that we're clear on that. And then to the question about the phone call, it's just clarifying information, right? It's not.
Yes.
It's not anything else. Okay, I'm just making sure I understood that,
Yep,
right?
it's just clarifying the letter and trying to get you honed down some exact points.
Okay, thank you.
So let's vote on the motion to table the stadium allocation funds for youth activities. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. All those opposed? So that passes with Councillor Waters opposing. So now we are at the resolution. Consider allocation of 500,000 of the stadium dollars and 1.5 million of oil and gas revenues for the museum. No, we cannot talk about the stadium money. We're tabling the money. So it's about the resolution of passing the resolution, but now this tabling of the stadium allocation dollars has muddied the resolution a bit. Councillor Waters, do you want to comment on that?
Well, so what are my options? I thought the motion was to table any reference to the expenditure of money from the Metro Stadium District.
Exactly. So your resolution combines these dollars. So we'll vote up and down on it, but actually that half of your resolution has been tabled.
So.
Do you still want an up and down vote on
Well,
this?
I don't get a up and down a vote on my
That's right.
resolution. So, thank you, council members. I don't get a up or down vote that I could have had in December. Thanks.
And to be fair to counselors, we should have, before any motion came forward, yours or anyone else's, we should have had this discussion at the onset. So when you made your resolution, just as a clarification for us, we were all new to this process. So what you were asking for, we hadn't discussed. We hadn't discussed anything about these dollars. So it's really difficult, actually, for me to vote for a resolution that I didn't know what that entailed. No, I'm just giving you my opinion. So, Councilor Waters, do you want to table the resolution, or do you want to, I don't know how to go forward with this, because it is on the agenda. We need to do something with it. Table it, drop it.
So, for all intents and purposes, half of the resolution has already been tabled. So I'll come back to my point. My interest was, from day one, was to happen up or down vote. That cannot now happen based on what just happened with this council. Is that not correct?
It is correct.
Then I guess I'm not curious. I'm curious, what are you wondering that
Do you want to withdraw this for consideration? Because it is on.
No, I'm not going to withdraw. This has been in front of the council for, let me see, December, January, into February. I indicated in late November what my intentions were. Why would I withdraw my resolution? It's not going to get voted on tonight, but I'm not withdrawing it.
So, Eugene, since this is on the agenda, what do we do with this one? Do we just ignore it? Do we?
Mayor Eugene May, City Attorney, my understanding is that A has been tabled. We move on.
All of A has been tabled.
All of A has been tabled. That's.
Okay, I agree with that. Thank you. Councilor Martin, one more time.
So we're tabling the allocation of any money from the sale of the Denver Broncos Stadium, which is what A is, which means that we were a little bit improper to have number 2, which accesses that money and the oil and gas revenues to be under A in the first place. It's a little bit ill-formed. I would like to understand, Councilmember McCoy has stated the sense of urgency over one proposal, and I would like Councilmember Martin to explain the sense of urgency having to do with the.
You can explain it yourself. You said the council.
What? Did I say Martin? So no, but Councilmember McCoy has explained his sense of urgency. I would like Councilmember Waters to explain his. What difference does it make whether we address his resolution now or next month?
Councilor Waters.
Thanks, Mayor Peck. I don't know that it makes a huge difference between now or next month. What is, let me just say again how frustrating it is, regardless of what the conversation had been. We had nothing had come to us from the staff. We'd had no conversation. It was the acceptance of another $1 million from the Stewart Family Foundation in November that was the impetus for my heads up to the council of what my intentions were. I didn't feel like I needed to wait on somebody to give me permission to bring a recommendation or a motion, it was a motion, to this council. I tried to make it easy by actually drafting the resolution that would take a load off of the city attorney's office. But it wasn't time-bound then, or it's not time-bound now, except that what's transpired since has been so confusing, so unclear. There was a point in time, I'll say this now, I didn't say it at the time, where I was referred to as an applicant for these funds. I'm not an applicant, I'm a council member. I brought a motion, not an application, but in an attempt to be collaborative, decided to delay it. Like I said, that was a mistake because this thing has become a joke in terms of the process. So there's no particular urgency. It's a disappointment to me that I deferred it to the request of the mayor to delay up or down motion on, or vote on the motion I brought, or the resolution I brought back in December.
Councillor Hidalgo Faring.
So I'm concerned that we maybe tabled before I was able to make my motion, or can I still make my motion, even though it's in regard to the stadium, Metro District stadium money? Can I do that?
Yes.
Yes? I'm asking the, okay. So I've been waiting very patiently for this. And you know what, Councilmember Waters? If you're upset about having private conversations with other entities, conversation you had with the president of the Stewart Foundation, okay? And then surprised us all with your motion, okay? So then it prompted us, okay, wait, we had a conversation going. We were gonna bring it publicly to the council for discussion before we moved on anything. So your motion was the catalyst. I am not done. I am not done. No, I'm not debating you. I'm calling my council members out.
Just a moment, please. What? Yes. 5-minute break.
It didn't have to get to this. It did not have to get to this. You know what? Conversation with us.
I know. I know, stop. We're taking a 5-minute break.
I tried to be patient, and then it drove me to the edge. Okay. Yes, I'm trying to have a conversation with you. Okay, let's have a conversation.
I don't see it in there.
Okay, good enough. That's the answer I was looking for.
Yeah.
We are back. Thank you. Councilor Waters, Councilor Hidalgo Faring, we are back. And I am gonna reality. You're calm. So, do you still want the floor?
Yes, I would.
Okay, go for it.
Okay, so I would like to make a motion to carve out $200,000 of the Metro Stadium District money to go towards a to be able to be allocated for nonprofit programming, and then the rest be brought back for discussion by the council.
So, the motion is by Councilor Hidalgo Faring is to carve out from the stadium money $200,000 to be used for grant. I'm just going to say grant. Grant possibilities. It's been seconded by Councilor Martin. We're open for discussion. I think it's a good idea. Here's my problem with it, and again, talking to the other municipalities, we are going to have an absolute application and what the criteria would be, because we can have hundreds of applications for $50, for $100, for that do not actually provide youth hands-on services. And I did not want staff to have to deal with this, and no other municipality is doing this because of that very reason. You get into head-on battles with people who want just $1,000, and then you have to have some kind of a system, because in a year we have to go back and say, how was this money used? It sounds like it's opening up a kettle of worms here to me, a can of worms. No, I'll go with a kettle. So I will open it up for discussion. Others, it looks like Councilor McCoy is on. I don't know which way this goes. Councilor McCoy.
Okay, thank you, Mayor Peck. To your point, I agree. And I was just trying to see where the, who would hear this, is it our Housing and Human Services group that's going to be doing the vetting and the hearing of this, or is there, going to be a specialized group that comes in and talks about, just trying to get some ideas around that, because to Mayor Peck's point about it being, a kettle of worms is probably true.
Okay, Mayor Pro Tem Rodriguez.
Thank you, Mayor Peck. I do believe I've actually said this, and I think it's been actually printed before, is that I would rather just see the money all go to Children, Youth, and Family Services and be done with this entire conversation. But this, at least, motion is getting closer towards what I would be comfortable with, if you will. But and so to address something that Councilmember McCoy just said, Housing and Human Services Board has basically a structure in place to kind of address. They have a rubric, they have a vetting process that they use for their nonprofits already. So they could probably fairly easily apply it to grant applications in this concept. So that would not make me uncomfortable. I'm having problems with is that, and no offense to any of the council members that brought forth proposals, but the appearance of impropriety is tough for me to swallow. And so I was not inclined to vote for any of them. The only one I was somewhat inclined to vote for was the Longmont Latino Voices, because it didn't have as many thumbprints on it as you might say from council members. So I probably still wouldn't be necessarily inclined to vote for this specific motion, but it's getting closer to kind of what I would prefer to see. Take that for what you will.
Councilor Martin.
Thank you, Mayor Peck. I agree with everything that the Mayor Pro Tem has said, and I would like to remind everyone that I did have a second motion after the motion to table that kind of got lost in the shuffle. And my second motion was, let's use the Housing and Human Services process that we use every year, possibly a slightly abbreviated version of it, to evaluate some number of proposals. And the reason that I couldn't tell anybody, we discussed this after the last contentious meeting with two city managers and me and Councilmember Hidalgo Faring. And therefore, if I had talked to anybody else about it, it would have been a rolling meeting. So I didn't. Okay, but at that time, now that it's not a rolling meeting anymore, we said, yeah, that would be good. That's what the city thinks. And if we had maybe handled the initial process a little more sedately and in the right order, we wouldn't have all of this concession. But since we did, we I believe, made a commitment to the public that the grassroots nonprofits were going to have a shot at it. And so I think that Councilor Hidalgo Faring's idea of carving out $200,000, which is a significant amount of money for that group of nonprofits, but also leaves the money aside for Councilmember Waters' proposal, is a good compromise and a good way to fix the mess that we made. And I think that what we should do, in addition to using that process, is that we should put a minimum application so that the staff is not saddled with a bunch of $500 and $2,000 applications, but there can only be so many if the smallest one you can put in is $20,000. So that is what I would like to see, and I so move.
We already have one on the,
But, okay, you're right.
okay.
Right, it's, yeah, let's vote on Susie's first, but I'd like to make that motion.
Councilor Yarbrough.
Thank you, Mayor Peck. I thought I would be able to leave without saying nothing, but that's impossible tonight. I just want to say that this motion after motion after motion is, I think, is still even more confusing for our constituents, and I think even for ourselves. We originally tabled to wait until the meeting to figure out what exactly we're supposed to do with that money. Now we have another motion to put $200,000 on the side for nonprofits, and now we have another board who we're using their methods. I just think we need to pick one motion and go with that motion, whether we're gonna table and get the information first, and then come back with the confirmation of whatever the information that you get, and then decide. I totally agree with Mayor Pro Tem. I mean, that was the whole purpose of the original proposal we had, was to give the money to youth services for them to do what they wanted to do. We just came up with a multi-purposeful dome for them to extend their programming. So, I mean, I think all of us had really good intentions, right? For our community and for our youth, especially our underserved youth. And we want to bring more opportunities for them. This is going beyond what our intentions were and are. So we need to stick with one. I'm not voting for anything other than one motion. I'm just being honest. So either we table it until you have your meeting and find that information, find out that the information, bring it back to us, or you come up with another motion. I'm just doing one. And I myself prefer to make a motion and vote on after you get the information you get, because it may not be $200,000. You may come back with something else, and then here we doing this whole fiasco again.
Thank you.
This is too much, really.
Thank you for that. I am not going to call on you, Counselor Martin, because we're not going to continue this. One more comment, and then we're going to vote. But we have this motion, it's going to be up or down as to whether we are going to the $200,000. It has already been on there unless Counselor Hidalgo Faring wants to withdraw it.
So in the best interest of having our nonprofits even get a chance, I am going to withdraw today because I want to ensure that we have the votes to get this passed. And, yeah, so I'll withdraw and wait until the meeting.
So Counselor Hidalgo Faring has withdrawn her motion to set aside $200,000 out of the allocated money for nonprofits to apply for. Not to withdraw. Okay. So I think that I agree with Counselor Yarbrough that we should not do any more motions until we come back with the information, the legal information, the stipulations on the money, and the financial implications. And that's why the attorney, the CFO, the city manager, and I are going to be on that meeting. Turn on your microphone, please.
Point of clarification. Why is it private?
I just asked for the meeting. I didn't ask for a public meeting. And to be honest, do you want this fiasco on a meeting that we're just getting clarification on some of the points? And in that meeting are the three people who really need to clarify that and bring it back to us. If you have any questions, we heard about the tax dollars, and that'll be a question that probably our CFO would ask. That is my explanation.
I just would like somebody to own the fiasco, and it isn't me, but I'm embarrassed.
Councillor Waters.
Thanks, Mayor Peck. Is tomorrow meeting's a Zoom meeting, or is it a conference call?
I don't.
It's
Because
gonna
it
be-
could be easily recorded for anybody who wanted to watch it.
Sure.
If you don't, I mean, I understand you don't have only so many people in the room, but if it's Zoom meeting, it could be recorded. Anybody could watch it at their leisure. The only reason I raised a point of order, and I wasn't trying to cut you off. I apologize. I thought we'd already voted to table and we were moving on from that. That was the only. Yeah, that's the only thing. So
I apologize as well.
I just wanted to be clear on what we were doing at that time. So, it sounds like we're moving on.
We are.
So I'm ready to move on.
If I just want
Yes.
to talk about, there's a central question that we're going to ask tomorrow. And so when you look at the letter, they said you can spend the money on youth activities. There was a meeting with Boulder County. I wasn't in that meeting, other staff was. They were in the meeting, and what the individual said is, we want you to do this. Our question is it a want or is it a have to? Based on the statutory language in it. And that's essentially, just so you all know, the one question we're going to ask is, we heard you say we want you to do this. Is it a want or is it a have to by statute? We think we have our opinions, but we want to hear from them what they're saying and why they said that in the county commissioner meeting, or the county meeting that was held with, I don't know how many people. So that's the question.
It's important to get that clarification. I did not want to go forward to bring anything here until we got the clarification, which is why I took to Harold to begin with, is that we had this meeting and it was a bit strange. And
to be clear, the reason these were placed on the agenda because the
Right.
motion was specific to placing these items on the agenda.
Right. So I do want to make a comment about your resolution, Counselor Waters, and don't take it personally. My problem, no, it's not personal. It's about how you're, well, we're still in the general business. Here's my problem with it, and I was going to vote against it because of this. There are two pots of dollars that you're combining in a resolution. And I feel that each pot has specific uses. So to combine them both and not define the different uses, and that is why, from my perspective anyway, the city manager brought the capital improvement projects to us to show us where the nexus is in the money that we thought we would have to have and that we don't have to complete projects that we gave direction on either by ordinance or by, well, I guess it was by ordinance, first or second reading, or a resolution. Those were our priorities that we gave direction to staff. The oil and gas money is not one-time free dollars. These dollars were always used for things like our open space, for our oil and gas management team. So my question is going to be, and I would like it answered when we bring this back, do we need those dollars to go back into what they were historically used for? Or are they open to be used for something other than the historical use of those dollars? And that is why I personally need to separate them, because they have two distinct uses. So, Councilor Waters.
I appreciate the question. I won't, I know
No,
we
I don't
want to
wanna
debate
debate it. I'm just
and I don't want to either, because but it felt, I thought we were moving on. Let me just clarify this part of it.
Okay.
The language that, when the first draft of a resolution, I did specifically make reference to the $3 million that we were gonna have, that we would have had to reimburse. The language that's in the resolution, you can, whether you pass it or not, the language that's in the resolution was specifically edited based on conversations with both the city attorney and the city manager. The language is specific to mineral royalties eligible for expenditure in the general fund, which makes that a fair use. Whether you think it's the right use is a different question.
No, thank you for that clarification.
But it's not, it's a different pot of money than the oil and gas royalties where we were going to have to return to Cub Creek. And I understand what we saw last week. I had this conversation with Harold today, that there were 7 projects that are all short in terms of funding.
Exactly.
And we're going to be looking for every dollar to scrape together. I get that as well, just to clarify.
Okay, great, thanks. So, that was fun. We are now on the draft for the City Council retreat agenda. Harold, do you have your direction on what we just went through? We're just tabling it until our meeting tomorrow.
You're tabling it. I've told you what the question is.
Great.
The question that we're gonna ask, we will bring that answer back to you, and then it's going back on the way it was.
Okay.
Because that's the direction we have at this point.
Okay.
Is that,
No, that's great. I just want to make sure that we all, through this process, understand what the next step is.
I was about to jump in and clarify to make sure that it was, because I'm confused. Yeah.
Thank you. Hi, Sandy.
Hello, Mayor Peck, members of council, Sandy Cedar, Assistant City Manager. I am bringing back your draft retreat agenda just to make sure that everyone's comfortable with the way that it looks now. It is 2 days, which was the direction last time, and then added, I think this came from your last meeting, a section around the street naming process after and as you are working through your goals. So those are the two. Oops, I'm pushing buttons, sorry. Close that down there. And so those are the 2 changes that I made. I also spread out some of these conversations so that there was more time for training, more time for discussion of the vision, and more time for the discussion of the grounding session were the things that were there. It has come to my attention that our sister cities folks are going to be here during this exact same time. And so the suggestion that I made to the group was that perhaps on Friday night after adjournment, those who would like to go to dinner with the members of the sister city folks, that they'll be getting in kind of during that daytime in order to take the fire truck back home with them. So it's very exciting. The timing is always fun, but we had talked about maybe doing that, and then also maybe taking our lunch break and doing a little celebration with them as we bid them adieu with the fire truck. So I may add those pieces in if that's okay with you all. Other than that, I'm just looking for approval of this agenda.
Councilor McCoy.
Thank you, Mayor Peck. I approve this. I move that we approve this agenda as presented.
Okay, so it's been moved by Councilor McCoy to approve the retreat agenda, seconded by Councilor Yarbrough. Any discussion?
Yes.
Okay.
I don't approve of this because it's too meta. I disagree with which items got spread out and which items did not get spread out. So I won't be voting for this, and I'd like to explain why. The whole first day is about having a retreat and about being good, I guess, which has never been an objective of mine. But I don't think that we need to spend 3 hours on that stuff.
On the team building section?
On the team building section, when we are spending 1 hour discussing the roadmap. To me, this makes no sense, and I won't support it. So I would really like the council members to please vote no on this, and let's move things around a little bit to spend more time doing the or planning to do the business of the people. We can certainly, for example, read the CML guidelines at home as a homework assignment beforehand, and cut down tips and tricks. We could that, I think, alone would take an hour away from the team building section, and we could add that to the roadmap section. It just makes a lot more sense to me to do it that way. So that's my request to the public or to the council members is that we spend a lot of time on planning the things that the staff really is going to have to do next year.
Mayor Peck, members of council, I would be happy to make that adjustment so that your lunch break starts at 11:30 on Friday. The grounding sessions go to 3 to 4:30. You're able to affirm your priorities before you leave for the day and start the road maps at 9 o'clock the next morning.
No continental breakfast the next
Well,
morning?
of course. That starts at 8:30.
Okay.
If that works.
It works for me.
Councilmember Martin, does that work for you?
So can you put that in a friendly amendment form and turn on your microphone again, please?
Okay, yes, if
Go.
Councilmember McCoy, was that who made the motion? Yeah, if Councilmember McCoy will accept a friendly amendment to take an hour away from the team building exercises, add an hour to discussing the roadmaps, and if I have you correct, City Manager Cedar, move the council priorities to the previous day?
Correct. Yes.
Thank you. Will you accept that friendly amendment?
I'd like to hear what Councilmember Yarbrough has to say.
It's not going to be open for discussion until you either accept or reject.
Whoops. Well, after seeing, a little bit of our discussion earlier, I am concerned that, we probably could do a lot of team building here. I want to be, accommodating, I just want to make sure that we don't miss that important component of this. I want to reference you.
No,
No, you don't.
Okay, well,
it's important we have team building. Obviously, that is so clear tonight that have been proven that we cannot make good decisions without working together, and we need to.
Counselor McCoy, you haven't accepted or rejected the amendment.
that's correct.
What do you want to do?
I think I'd like to reject it so we could have some conversation about it and hear what Councilor Yarborough has to say, and then I'd be open for it to be represented by Councilor Martin after I hear what Councilor Yarborough's point is.
Counselor Yarborough?
Thank you, Mayor Peck. I think that I do not want to take away an hour from our team building at all. That has been obvious tonight that we need to work together and we need to learn how to discuss without, and I mean, we're human beings and I get them to understand that, but we are all different. I'm new. I mean, I guess I've been here a year, so I'm not that new. I'm still claiming as a freshman. But I think I need that, okay? So that is important for us to learn about one another, our personalities, and how we can make decisions together for the betterment of our community, not our own selves. That's why we're council people, okay? So for me, I'm not going to vote to take an hour away from team building because that's important for us to make really good decisions as a unit as much as possible. And I'm learning that myself, so I need that. And if you think I need to do that on the side, I'll do that. But I think as a council, we need to work together, and we need to learn how to do that.
Thank you. So I'm going to call the question. Let's vote. We are voting on
Just to approve the draft.
to approve the draft that Councilor McCoy made, and it was seconded by Councilor Yarborough, to approve the draft as presented. So let's vote. Oops. Oh, wait a minute. Okay, that passes unanimously. No, I'm sorry, okay, hang on. So that passes with 5 counselors, myself, Councilor Yarborough, Councilor Hidalgo-Faring, Councilor McCoy, and Councilor Waters voting for it, and Councilor Martin and Mayor Pro Tem Rodriguez in opposition. Councilor Martin.
Excuse me, I thought I was going to have a chance to,
I
yes, but you
okay.
called the question, didn't you,
I
Mayor?
did. I did.
I would still like to point out, for the edification of the council and the public, that the CML guidelines on social media are not a team-building exercise.
Thank you. Assistant Manager Sandy Cedar, does this answer your question? Are we good to go with the agenda for the retreat as presented?
I certainly have direction. I would just remind everyone that the timing is always tentative based on the conversation.
Okay, thank you.
I think I'm up next also, that's why
You
I'm
are.
still standing here.
So now we are going to do the 2023 legislative bills recommended by City Council, for City Council position, and Sandy Cedar gave us a printout of those bills.
Yes, thank you, Mayor Peck. Members of council, Sandy Cedar, Assistant City Manager. Today we have 6 bills for your consideration for positions. It started off a little slow and then all of a sudden things started really rocking and rolling. So these are your first 6 bills. They're also posted on the city's website every Friday and also in the posting areas just so that people know how they can find what you're looking at. I'm happy to go through each of these. You could also pass them as a group, or I'd be happy to answer questions about them. This is the first round for this year, so it really is how you would like to handle it. Once the City Council takes official positions on these bills, then I spend time lobbying our local representatives about your position. So that's how the process works, and that's how the City of Longmont takes a position. So if you'd like to, I'd be happy to go through them and explain them. That's the best way to do it.
I think that would be great. Thank you.
Okay. So this particular set of bills is mostly housing and public safety. Senate Bill 23001 concerning additional functions from the public-private collaboration unit with public projects that provide housing. This provides $13 million basically so that the public-private partnership office to include affordable workforce housing. Since housing is a priority for the City Council, the staff recommends that you support Senate Bill 001.
Mayor Pro Tem Rodriguez.
Thank you. It specifically says on state-owned land. Do we have state-owned land in?
Molly didn't think we did, but she thought if, that since housing is a regional issue, that anybody who has state land where we can actually, build affordable housing helps everyone.
Regionally, yes, I was just curious.
Regionally, yes. Yeah, she didn't think we did.
To that question, when we had the group meeting on the 12% goal, if there's state land adjacent to Louisville, Lafayette, Erie, and they can build affordable housing, that goes to the broader portfolio. So I think that was it.
It's a great clarification, though. Sorry, I missed that.
So let's do a hand vote if we want to support this bill. I don't see anyone else in the queue for discussion. All those who want to support it, just, or we can vote. It didn't catch up. Thank you, Sandy. The next one.
Thank you, Mayor Peck. Senate Bill 23022 concerning adding aggravated motor vehicle theft to the list of convictions that apply to the offense of possession of weapons by previous offenders. So according to the current law, it's illegal for someone to possess a firearm if that person was convicted or adjudicated of certain felonies. This bill adds aggravated motor vehicle theft to those convictions. And so essentially what has happened is that some of these are very violent crimes. And so currently aggravated motor vehicle theft is not on the list of convictions that would stop you from getting a gun into the future. So this is consistent with your gun legislation statement that you made about public safety. And so the staff recommends that council supports Senate Bill 2322.
Okay, is there any discussion on this? Seeing no one in the queue, let's vote on it. Do we?
Yeah, I think you've done it both ways in the past, but whichever way.
We already started this way. Let's just, let's don't go back and forth. So let's just do hand votes to give Dawn a break. So. No.
I'll move.
Right, there was last time.
The council supports Senate Bill 23022.
Okay, that's been, the movement of 23022 to support was made by Mayor Pro Tem Rodriguez, seconded by Councilor McCoy. Let's vote. We're just going to do hands because it's not coming up. It looks like that passes unanimously, so thank you.
Thanks, Mayor. Senate Bill 23035 concerning the operation of the Middle Income Housing Authority and in connection adding some members to the Board of Directors. We're not too worried about the Board of Directors portion of it, but what this bill does is it allows the Middle Income Housing Authority to enter into those public-private partnerships and clarifies that those components for those projects are tax exempt. The transfer of the interest for a project into the entity other than the authority is allowed. These things will free up the Middle Housing Authority to continue to incentivize what we're calling attainable housing. And so because this is consistent with council's goals, the staff recommends that council support 2335.
Okay. I don't see anyone in the queue, so go ahead and move it. Support.
I'll move Senate Bill 23-035.
support from that. I'll second it. So it's been moved by Councilor Hidalgo Faring to support Senate Bill 23-035 and seconded by Mayor Joan Peck. All those in favor, raise your hand. All those opposed. So that passes unanimously. Thank you.
Great, halfway done. The next one is House Bill 23-1095 concerning the prohibition of the inclusion of certain provisions in written rental agreements. So this is a Renter Protection Act that essentially would protect renters from unreasonable liquidated damages, attorney fee responsibility, shifting, and hidden fees. Obviously, those are things that we would want to protect renters from, and so the staff recommends that council supports House Bill 23-1095.
Okay. Seeing no one in the queue to discuss, can I have a motion to move? So House Bill 23, support for House Bill 23-1095 has been moved by Councilor Martin and seconded by Councilor McCoy. Let's vote. All those in favor, raise your hand. All those opposed. So that passes. Thank you.
Thank you,
Sandy?
ma'am. House Bill 23-1115 concerning the repeal of statutory provisions prohibiting local governments from enacting rent control. This has been a big issue in the legislature over the last several years. And I think you may be familiar with the Telluride decision that basically prohibits local governments from doing any kind of rent control at all. So this would repeal that if it were to pass. And so staff recommends that council supports House Bill 23-1115.
Seeing no one in the queue, can I have a motion for this?
I'll move House Bill 23-1115.
So House Bill 23-1115 has been moved by Councilor Hidalgo Faring, seconded by Councilor Yarbrough. I don't see any discussion in the queue, so let's vote. All those in favor, raise your hand. All those opposed. Thank you.
Thank you, Mayor. One more.
That passes unanimously. I forgot that part.
Perfect, thank you. House Bill 23-1169 concerning a non-arrest response by law enforcement for certain low-level offenses. So this one has to do a lot with what the discussion was at council around what's going on with our legal system right now, with our public safety system. And this bill prohibits a peace officer from arresting a person based solely on the alleged commission of a petty offense. The offenses are listed on the next page that are included in this bill, and basically would say that if somebody calls and says, you know, somebody is trespassing in this commercial facility, residential facilities are different, but in this commercial facility, the officer goes and asks them to leave. If they don't leave, there's nothing the officer can do. Not only for that particular offense, but all the ones on the page that follows. And so this obviously hamstrings folks because if you're trespassing, you're asked to leave, or you know you're not supposed to be there, the remedy to this is arrest. It's unfortunate, but that's the remedy. In many cases, and this would stop our public safety officers from arresting people that do not comply with any of these low-level offenses. So this is inconsistent with council's statement on legislation affecting public safety, and staff recommends that council oppose House Bill 23-1169.
Can I have a motion? Councilor Martin.
I move to oppose, whatever it is.
1169.
So can I have a second to oppose House Bill 23-1169? I'll second. So Councilor Martin moved to oppose House Bill 23-1169, and Councilor Waters seconded. Let's vote. I see nobody in the queue to discuss. All those in favor? All those opposed? That passes unanimously.
Thank you, Mayor Peck. And just a reminder that our legislative dinner has been rescheduled for Friday, May 3rd at 7 o'clock. March 3rd at 7 o'clock.
Oh, March 3rd.
March 3rd. Friday, March 3rd at 7 o'clock. That's the next time that the legislators were available to meet.
So I'll just say that's my son's birthday. And so,
I'll be there. It's the day after my son's birthday, so.
Oh, my gosh.
Yes,
Yeah.
that's when our legislators said that they were available, and boy, we took them up on it just as soon as they mentioned that. So 7 o'clock, Friday, March 3rd, is our legislative dinner with them.
Well,
Same agenda.
since we have all these bills that we've gone over, I think that, Harold, you can miss. We're good.
Thank you,
Great.
Mayor and
Thank
members
you.
of council.
All right. So we're at final call, public invited to be heard. Is there anybody in the public that would like to come and address council? No one? Okay, seeing no one, I will close final public invited to be heard. We are now at mayor and council comments. Councilor Waters.
Thanks, Mayor Peck. I did see the notice about May 4th. Just for the record, Sandy, I'm already obligated that evening. I won't be able to make that dinner.
March. Okay. Counselor Waters, I'm sorry, Counselor Martin.
Thank you, Mayor Peck. I'd like to apologize on the behalf of the council for all the anger that everybody showed tonight, including myself. I am still angry. But I really would like to say that I think that the council should insist on consistency, on using good process, and on doing the people's work. And I am very disturbed that we cannot find ways to spend time on some very serious issues that are before the council this year. So I'm just wanted to express my regret.
Thank you. Seeing no one else in the queue, I will just say we had an incredible meetings in Washington, D.C. The Transportation Coalition went down. We were received very well. There's hope on getting raise grant dollars for 119, and we just need this raise, and that will be all the money, this raise grant. That'll be all the money we need to complete that project. So keep your fingers crossed. There was a lot of positive movement on that. There was also a lot of positive movement on the Front Range Passenger Rail District to get dollars for the CIDP, which is the Corridor Identification Development Plan. If we get that grant, we're in, which means that FRA will work with us, help us until the project is completed. Also, there was a lot of positive movement on the alignment for FRPR to being the Northwest Corridor, which is the only reason I'm on that board. So I don't know how long this will take, but I do have a lot of hope that we are being recognized as a state that needs rail desperately. So happy Valentine's Day, everybody. So comments from our city manager, Harold?
No comments, Mayor, Council.
Thank you. City Attorney Eugene?
No comments, Mayor.
Thank you. I have a motion to adjourn. So to adjourn, motion to adjourn has been moved by Councilor McCoy, seconded by Councilor Martin. Let's vote. That passes unanimously. Thank you. Happy Valentine's Day.